Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 7 from Mark Vardy and the School of Ninjas by C.J.T. Wilkins. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 7. After breakfast, the students arrived at the summer dojo. Most of them had arrived early and were lined up outside. Mark and Charlie were at the head of the line, having rushed in their eagerness to get to their first lesson. They were all wearing the white training suits that had been laid out for them in their rooms, and had attempted to tie their belts in various ways. Pandora was missing, but by 10 to 9, everyone else was there. At 9 o'clock precisely, the doors of the summer dojo opened, and a new figure stood there. A tall, well-built man with sandy-colored hair. He wore a similar suit to the students, but it was black and tied with a black belt with 9 silver stripes on the end. He looked at them a moment and then stood back and gestured them in, indicating that they should line up along the edge of the dojo. Inside already were the 2 senior students who had been their guides yesterday. The students had fallen silent. They were a bit intimidated by this man and awestruck by the large and impressive dojo. He walked along the line of students, taking a moment to look at each of them. They felt like he could see right through them. Charlie giggled nervously when it was his turn at the head of the line. The man stopped, paused a moment, and then said, "Why are you laughing? You haven't heard any of my jokes yet." He laughed, and all the students relaxed a bit and laughed with him. "Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Heath Goodwin. You can call me Mr. Goodwin. If and when you think I have taught you something useful, you can call me Sensei Goodwin. You have met my assistants, Bella and John, already. They are here to help me help you. First things first, let's get you all dressed properly. That white suit you are wearing is called a judogi, and there is a particular way you should tie your belt. Everyone gets it wrong at first, and I see you lot are no different." He gestured his assistants towards the students. "Sort them out." As the assistants went along the line, teaching the students to tie their belts, the door was thrown open, and in marched Pandora. "Nice of you to join us," said the teacher. Pandora looked at the other students being taught to tie their belts. "Oh, it's okay. I know that stuff," she said airily. "We are very lucky to have such an expert amongst us," said the teacher. There was a note in his voice that implied that he may not be very impressed, but Pandora was oblivious, so she smiled and looked pleased with herself. The teacher returned to the class. "Let's start with a few basics. We're going to learn to stand like a martial artist and move like a martial artist. Those feet are for moving, not sticking to the ground. So let's get them moving." He proceeded to demonstrate, pointing out how they should stand, with their legs shoulder-width apart, one behind the other, one pointing forwards, and one pointing slightly to the side. He told them they must get their hands up, so they are ready to defend their head. Then he taught them how to move, shuffling the leading leg in the direction they were moving, and slightly dragging the other behind so that their feet never crossed or stepped past each other. "Your turn," he said. "I want you to stand properly and then shuffle halfway across the dojo, and then shuffle backwards to where you started. Go." The line of students started shuffling across the dojo. Some tripped themselves up. Some bounced along on their toes. Some got muddled and had to start again. He smiled. "You will get it. Practice that every day until it is as natural to you as breathing. You do all breathe, don't you?" he joked. There were giggles from the students. "Next, we need to teach you not to get hit. It's pretty important to not get hit. Getting hit can really ruin your day. So I think you should all become experts at not getting hit." He called the older student, John, forward. "Give me some punches, nice and slow, so they can see what we are doing." John gave him a steady volley of slow punches from a range of angles. Sensei Goodwin easily stepped outside the punches, deflected them or stepped inside them, blocked them, and returned a tap to the boy's chest to show that he could have punched him if he needed to. He stopped, thanked John, and addressed the class. "So you see, however the punch comes, I am going to evade it or block it. Let's start you with some simple window wiper blocks." He turned to John, who then gave him a series of slow roundhouse and uppercut punches. He swung his fists round at the sensei's head, left and right, then punched upwards from his hip to the sensei's chin, again on the left and right. Sensei stayed still, but swung his arms up one at a time to block the roundhouse punches that were coming to the side of his head. Then he swung his arms down to block the uppercut punches that were coming to his chin. "Do you think you can do that?" he said. "Have a go, but be very careful not to actually hit each other. You are here to train, not to hurt anyone. I will joke about a lot of things, but I am completely serious about this. Do not hurt each other. Go as slow and carefully as you need to, in order to stay safe. Now get into pairs and try this carefully. I don't want to have to send any of you to the doctor." The students got into pairs. Mark paired up with Charlie, and they started doing what they had seen demonstrated. They really enjoyed it. It was like a real fight, but very slow and careful. But they didn't mind. It was really fun. At the other end of the dojo, Pandora had paired up with her roommate, Nell. It wasn't long before there was a thud, and Nell was on the floor with her nose bleeding. Pandora stood there looking a bit irritated that the girl was making such a fuss. "That's your fault. You should have blocked better," she said. "Stop!" Sensei's voice rang out. He went to Nell, checked her, and then asked Bella, the assistant, to take her to the doctor. Then he turned to Pandora. "How long have you been here?" he asked with ominous politeness. Pandora, as usual, was oblivious to the undertone. "This is my first day, but I have been doing karate for 2 years," she said boastfully. "Well, I am sure that's not how your instructor taught you to treat your training partners. You have been here less than 1 day, in fact, and you have hurt someone already." He paused. "Leave my mat." Pandora looked incredulously at him. He pointed to the door. Pandora opened her mouth to speak and thought better of it. She turned, huffed, and stalked out. He faced the class once again. "I hope we all learned something today." "Yes, Sensei," they all replied. He smiled. "Now carry on practicing." Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for Chapter 8. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book.